Should we really be afraid of the Cardinals? Is the season over? Is everything falling apart? This is RamView.
It's hot out there. Let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Headline, Los Angeles.
Live from the Ram Cave, I'm Joe Trozian, and this is RamView, the December 3rd, 2025 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident, need help, got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. Check out that QR code, KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word, Kistler Law. They've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues, get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. And of course, the new friend of the show, sports ball games. Make game day funner for you and your crew. Play sports ball. Play for a hill of beans or just jelly beans. Check them out at www.joinsportsball.com. All right. A lot of stuff to talk about. Sorry I wasn't here. Busyness of the season. Everything gets kind of crazy. Was literally physically away from my desk for 2 consecutive days. Bill, thank you so much for clicking on. Do appreciate that. I am going to talk about Atwell a little bit here in a second. Hey, just to lay the stuff out just before we get to it, give you guys some chance to stew on it a little bit. All the talk, man, everyone's so angry at Lane Kiffin, right? And I was actually talking to our sponsor this week, and I said, I don't know, man, you give me $90 million, I might go run 49er View, for $90 million. Lane Kiffin took the money like coaches before him and like players are doing right now. And to tell you the truth, I'm for anything and everything that brings chaos to the NCAA. They are reaping what they have done in terms of all the corruption that they have practiced over the years, where they jobbed all these players, and now the players are jobbing them right back. And I'm happy. In fact, the NCAA is more corrupt than California or DC politics, right? And the only reason it still exists in these universities and everybody abides by them, these conferences, is that they have decision makers in control in those places that give them favorable access, favorable outcomes. The big conferences legitimately stop complaining, band together, hire your own commissioner, and have preset schedules so there are hard marks like the NFL to reach the playoffs, right? And that way there are no committee decisions, right? We never have committee decisions when we're talking NFL football, but college football, because it is corrupt because of the NCAA influence through the years, it's a disaster. But the good news is, I'll say about this one thing I will say about the current playoff system. Now you're arguing about teams 12, 13, 14, team number 11, team number 10. And that's an okay argument because you're not arguing anymore about teams 1 through 4 and who in 5 and 6 were that may have got left out. So teams that are truly worthy of being in are in. It's now at the bottom end that you're having these debates on who's number 12, who's number 13, who's number 11. And so that is an improvement, but this thing will never get fixed. Never get fixed until the NCAA is pretty much done with these conferences pony up and start doing what they need to do. So, all right, so let's keep pressing on here. Rams got the Cardinals this week. Lot to talk about in that game. You always got to take a division opponent seriously. They play hard for Jonathan Gannon. I've said that all along, but this loss that everyone's bemoaning, this loss to the Panthers, which wasn't a horrible loss. If you saw my wrap up that I was able to put out, I think Sunday night, early Monday morning, if you saw that wrap up, you saw where there was nothing exposed here. It wasn't any real deficiencies along the offensive line. The 4 touchdowns the Panthers scored were all on big plays. 2 fourth down and a 3rd down and 8 conversions led to touchdowns. Rams haven't done that all year. And it was a case, I will say this, they were in cover zero in those moments where Forbes got beat. And what are we generally always saying? They're too conservative on defense, too conservative, they play it too safe. Hey, that's an aggressive approach to go cover zero, right? And I don't think he's a good quarterback. I wouldn't want him on my team. Maybe a good person, but Bryce Young made some good throws, right? And that's that. That's what happened. They got out schemed on the swing pass that turned into a touchdown by Chuba Hubbard. And of course, a touchdown is lost when Stafford throws the pick. It's tipped off the helmet. We get that. You lose a touchdown there, and you give a touchdown away on the pick six. That's a 14-point swing, right? And then losing the ball in the rain. All right, whatever. There's nothing systemic here. You went 3,000 miles to play in the rain after playing a bunch of really good opponents and a team that's solid. A team that's solid and is learning how to win. It was not the worst loss. And the Rams, did you really want the Rams to be 15-2 going into the playoffs, in the sense that, man, there's going to be a hiccup here. If this is the hiccup, great. And here's the better news here. In one sense, the better of the silver lining is I don't think I'd be really surprised if the Rams came out soft against Arizona. I think Arizona is going to pay the debt that the Rams incurred in Carolina. I think there's going to be I thought the Carolina game would be a blowout. It probably would have been if not for those big plays that the Rams never give up. I think this game's going to be a blowout. I do. I'll give final prediction this week, but I do believe it will be a blowout. And so the Rams are in good shape. They had their palate cleansed, so to speak, that they realized that they have to come out and play 4 quarters. They have to play every down. They have to finish everything off, and they can't lose their energy level. And I think they're going to be okay. And yeah, it does make things a little more difficult because I could see them losing in Seattle on a Thursday night. That's very possible, right? Fortunately, the Lions are struggling right now. They have the Cardinals twice. They have the Falcons once. So this back half of the season, this last stretch of the season, the schedule is somewhat favorable to them. But you do got to go to Seattle, and that hash has to be settled. All right, let's see what we can see. Thank you, guys. I do appreciate you being here. But yeah, like I said, I was away from my desk for 2 full days, and just the job, man. Had to do it. So let's see here. Bill, there is more to the Atwell situation than McVay is telling us. I think Xavier Smith's playing really well, but there was a note about Xavier Smith, and I thought it was interesting. And it's down further in my notes, but since you brought up Atwell, Bill, I will share. Xavier Smith shared how Tutu Atwell has looked after him and helped mentor him on the sideline. And this comes on the heels of last week, Warren McClendon saying Havenstein was doing the same thing. And, this has nothing to do really with the price of lettuce this week coming up. But with that said, there's a template here you see for personnel for the Rams, right? Now, we might not know the exact metrics, but the Rams look at character as much as they look at the 40 time, right? And the 40 time is not going to supersede a bad character. Havenstein's on his way out. Havenstein, everyone else jumped on board with what we were talking about last week. Havenstein probably shouldn't be the starter again for the rest of this year, right? And Atwell has not worked out. I put that all on McVay. They either should have let him walk or they should have really forced putting him in this offense, and McVay didn't do it. If you want to get on McVay for that, they gave him 10 rocks. But look what Atwell's done. Perhaps passed on the depth chart by Xavier Smith, and Atwell is there coaching him up and encouraging him. So I don't know what the ultimate aspect of it or how it's going to end. I can say this, the Rams have high character guys, and that's pretty cool to see. In regards to paying me $90 million, who do you root for? Winers? Oh, no, that's not that. Who do you root for, the Winers or the Falcons? Oh, we have to root for the Falcons, man. We have to, right? We want to root for the Falcons all the way in this one because we don't want – the Niners are 9-4. I mean, Shanahan's done a great coaching job, but the schedules helped them out a little bit. Cardinals aren't what they should have been. So they've been fortunate. But again, the Rams gave them a gift as well. So Shanahan's getting it done. I still refuse to believe they're anything long term, but a stumble or anything, they're 9-4. They're very much alive. Let's see, Bill. Latest mock draft have the Rams taking Ty Simpson of Alabama. Is he a franchise quarterback? I don't know. And I got to be honest with you. I'm still having conversations with friends and sponsors and stuff. And we had the same thing. And unless it's Fernando Mendoza, I really don't know if I want a quarterback so early. Draft one and develop, okay. But if Stafford is still upright, Stafford is still slinging the ball, I don't want to get a piece that's going to play in 2027, 2028, or 2029. The Rams window is open, and more than one person has said it. As long as Stafford is upright and healthy and slinging that ball, the Rams playoff window and Super Bowl window remains open. So if Stafford is upright, Stafford is still slinging the ball, Stafford has indicated that he wants to come back and throw it around next year, then I'm getting another wide receiver. I think I'm drafting at least if I'm not sold on McClendon, I'm drafting a tackle. And if I'm not sold on if I am sold on McClendon, I'm drafting an interior lineman. Because I think, again, the Achilles heel of this team is in the interior of the offensive line. There, I said it. People argue about number 68 getting into the hoop. Oh, this is Steve Ramirez. Let's see here. Let me set that up. It's not fair to you guys for me not to show you. People argue about number 68 getting in the hoop tournament. My personal choice, Notre Dame deserves a spot over Miami. You know what? I really haven't paid attention to it. It's going to be really funny if you take has Notre Dame won 10 in a row? Is it 10 in a row, Steve? You're going to take a Notre Dame team, Notre Dame, that's won 10 in a row, and put BYU in or somebody else? Again, it's a bummer, but it's the system, right? And honestly, the coaches can say they don't like it. The press can say they don't like it. The universities and the NCAA still control everything. If you don't like it, you can change it. But they like the system because it works to their benefit. That's just my call here. Micah Gutierrez, Carolina loss felt like a wake-up call. I fully trust the team to take a division game seriously, as it could have tiebreaker implications. Yeah, I do too. And again, there were moments there I thought Rams aren't going to lose this game. Rams aren't going to lose this game. And they just made mistakes they hadn't made all year. And again, 2 touchdowns of the plus 35-yard variety or 30-yard variety on fourth down. We haven't done that all year. The Rams haven't done that all year. That little swing to Chuba Hubbard, when you saw the way that play was schemed, it was 3rd and 8. And again, Rams they don't give up those plays. I thought the most troubling aspect was the third quarter, the way Rams had one possession, a 3 and out, and they came up and down the field. And it's not a great offensive line, and the front is pretty good for the Rams, but they got pushed around a little bit, because they kept letting them off the hook. Let's see. The great Tim Burns, I want 50 this week, and big plays are what sent us home last year. No excuse for last week. No, there was no excuse for last week, Mr. Burns. The only thing I'm saying is there's nothing systemic. There's no deep flaws in this team, right? I keep talking about the interior line, right? PFF doesn't agree with me, right? The world doesn't agree with me. I think in the end, there's going to be a problem there along that offensive line when it's really crunching. You have to get that key yard. I do not trust Coleman Shelton. He's playing really well, but in the end, he's not going to be enough. But other than that, against most teams, regular season, 17 games, yeah, Rams are okay. There's no deep flaws here. I do love the whole Emmanuel Forbes guy has to be replaced all of a sudden. There you go. Steve, Rams win if those 2 interceptions are not thrown. Yeah, absolutely. And the first one was a fluke. The first one happened. The second one was a bad pass, right? The second one was a really bad pass, and they paid the price, right? And so now the good news is about that is that maybe some of the KBM will get off the Stafford bandwagon. They stink up the joint. They're anti-Stafford, anti-Rams all the way through, and then you throw 30 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, and all of a sudden, Stafford's your boy, right? Get out, go. I don't need you here. Just go away. ESG, how you doing, man? Thank you for clicking on. I am seeing power rankings that don't even have the Rams in the top 5. Why is it when the Rams lose, we get more punished than any other team? I do believe there is something to that. I do, and I can give a rip at times, right? And as Ram fans, we should expect it. We should expect it. And honestly, I'll tell you why. Maybe here's a theory. Tangent Joe T here. Tangent Joe T. Not this crowd. There's a very slender, narrow group of legitimate Ram fans, right? But the team cultivates the ephemeral base that will bail on them in a heartbeat. The kind that come out and say, oh, they should dump Emmanuel Forbes and fire Sean McVay after last week. That kind of stuff. And they're the ones the Rams play to, right? And they're the ones that the KBM sees, right? And so there's no one to fear, right? There's no one like, I'm going to get some pushback here, right? Because by and large, the Rams don't have that kind of fan base. Dallas, Pittsburgh, Kansas City, Green Bay, they have that kind of fan base, and the Rams don't. There we go. Ron Reese, I wish McVay were more balanced in the pass and run. He's always abandoning the run when they're running the ball well. Yeah, I think that's always one thing that McVay has to rein himself in with. He needs to have LaFleur, the OC, kind of say, hey, Matt, dude, slow down a little bit. Just slow down a little bit, bro. And McVay has come in several times saying, yeah, I got greedy there. The part that really bugged me is I heard a member of the KBM say that he's doing it so Stafford could win MVP. And either that's the stupidest comment you're ever going to hear, or that person has inside scoop, which means that's the stupidest reason for any of the play calls, right? I was against McVay playing Nakua, what was that, at the end of the 2023 season so he can get 1,000 yards. I was against all those things. Football's not a game you mess around with. It's just not a game you mess around with. You have to respect what can happen in a football game. And so, yeah, though there are some chinks there, some holes in McVay's armor there, but they're very small ones. And one of them is he will abandon the run, right? He will. Bill, is Keir Thomas ever coming off the injured reserve? I don't know. If they bring him back, they got to put him on the active roster, which means someone's going to get put in the street. Someone's about to get put in the street when they bring Atwell back officially, because he was only in that window. He hasn't been activated yet. They're going to have a roster issue because Keir Thomas, if he comes back, they either have to put him on the active roster or they got to waive him and then wrap him around again and see if he goes to can land on the practice squad. It was a real bad injury, bad timing for Keir Thomas. $5 Steve, Seattle's a tough game versus Indy the Sunday before the Rams play them. So there is that. And again, I'll say it. Seattle looks really good against lousy teams. They look really good against lousy teams. I mean, really good. But when they play someone serious, it's not the same story. And yeah, I think they're going to have home field advantage. Again, Sam Darnold, come on. Is there ever a time you're up at night going, oh, my God, we got to play Sam Darnold tomorrow, right? I mean, Colin Cowherd's having wet dreams, but people who follow this know it's like, it's Sam Darnold, guys. Jackson Smith-Njigba only caught 2 passes last week. Now, maybe they pulled him back. I didn't see his snap count. But I'm not afraid of the Seattle team. They are getting back some players this week, so it'll be interesting to watch. Bill, did Witherspoon's presence unsettle our secondary against Carolina? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. again, the Rams were in cover zero on those plays. I mean, you don't see that too often, right? And so no, I until I hear something different, I wouldn't think so. Let's see. Higbee is a big part of 13 personnel. His absence has been felt. Has it? If you say so, I haven't felt it. I want more snaps. There's going to be a moment. There's going to be a moment this week, next week, the week after, where at some point, everything with Terrence Ferguson is going to start clicking. Don't you get that feeling? Him and Stafford just keep kind of missing each other. But I think there's going to be a moment where things start to click, and we're going to see a lot more boom and bang out of Ferguson. And you want Higbee back just because he's Higbee, a veteran and all that kind of stuff. And when he comes back, they'll put Vanette in the street, or they'll put Vanette down on the practice squad. But I haven't felt it because Parkinson's done a really good job. Let's see. Tim Burns, I don't want another year of Havenstein or Higbee giving us half a season of availability. Well, let's give some respect to Havenstein. Havenstein's been a rock except for the last 2 years, and definitely not this year. His contract is up. I can't see him returning next year. I can't. And again, this is the part that makes me kind of laugh, is that, again, as I've been unable to get behind my desk, I've been following a bunch of Rams media, and they're having all these discussions about, the Rams now have to make a hard decision because Warren McClendon, and it's like, I feel like John McClane in Die Hard. It's like, welcome to the party, pal, right? We've been talking McClane Havenstein here for 2 weeks. And the truth is, it's right there. And I love Havenstein, but McClendon's the better player right now. He just is. If Havenstein can take extra time to heal up, extra time to just get a little more sound in body, what a great insurance policy he's going to be when maybe something comes up with McClendon. And I don't know if the Rams view McClendon as the long-term answer or solution at right tackle. But you know what? That 5th-round pick that the Rams spent on him 3 years ago, boy, that's been returned in full. They got clicks out of this guy that are serious clicks. And I'm looking forward to it. And again, I'm excited about the idea of Alaric Jackson, undrafted free agent, and Warren McClendon, 5th-round right tackle, being the Rams bookends. And so if they have full faith in them, using those other draft picks to maybe get an interior lineman, right? And for an interior lineman, they have to be pretty doggone special to draft them in the top 10. Center, guard, So if that pick with the Falcons drops even lower, boy, you can reach, grab a little more from that, right? Maybe if it ends up in the 7th spot and somebody really wants to move up, you can get their number one at 25, 26, 27, plus maybe another 3rd rounder. I don't know. However they want to break it down. I'm excited about that because McClendon, believe it or not, McClendon opens a lot of possibilities for the Rams in terms of the offseason. Your 11-year right tackle, your Rock of Gibraltar, is sailing off into the sunset. And whether he wants to keep playing or not, if he wants to keep playing, I don't think he'll be wearing horns unless he takes a huge pay cut and agrees to become a mentor. Problem with Havenstein is he's a right tackle. He's not going to swing the left tackle. He's not a right guard. He is a right tackle, so he's limited. We knew this last year watching McClendon play. He wasn't a left tackle. McClendon is a right tackle, and he could be the Rams guy for the next decade. And to have that taken off the table, that you don't have to look for a right tackle in free agency, you don't have to draft a tackle high. Now you can get more pieces. Rams need another wide receiver. They need another wide receiver. They need an interior lineman. And that's if you don't have to go dip into the market in regards to where Stafford's going to be at the end of the year, because Kelly might do a podcast and say, honey, you've had enough, right? So, no, and Higbee's, you got to believe Higbee's done too. You got to believe that. Let's see, Steve. Niners are a game back, so I'm rooting for a Niners versus Falcons. Yeah, you're rooting for the Falcons, right? I want the draft pick, but I don't want I want them destroyed. That's what I want. Let's see. Great Tim Burns. Yeah. Thielen got released by the Vikings. He went back to the Vikings, Adam Thielen, and he was put on waivers. I think he asked for it because he wants to play for a contender in his last season. And, he's okay. He's not what he once was, but a little late to the party there for Omar Khan and Steeler fan Rob. I'd get a top center at the end of the first or second round. Yeah, definitely, Steve. Let's see here. It's the Seahawks who are playing the Falcons. Niners have a bye this week. Bingo. There you go. I'm rooting for the Falcons. Definitely rooting for the Falcons in this one. We want them distraught. I want them distraught. That's what I want. All right, let's keep moving along here. I promise I'll get to we got 3 more there. Let's do it again. The great Tim Burns. The talking heads are just as indifferent to the Rams as most Ram fans are. Fair weather bandwagon permeates the Ramily. They jump ship too easy. So I'm not off when I say that. You guys never correct me when I say that because I'm working off a lifetime of experience with Ram fans. I'm not accusing anybody that's here, because you guys are the ones mostly that have been here in April. You guys are the ones that are here at the end of February before the new season started, before free agencies opened up, and we're still talking Ram football. We know by and large the sports bar crowd kind of goes their own way. Let's see here. Bill. Awesome, Bill. You're still with us here. Which Hunter on our roster do the Rams trade? Corum or Williams in this with Hunter on our roster? On our roster, do the Rams trade Corum or Williams in the offseason? No, I don't think so. You got a competent guy that you're building in the system. Corum's getting more snaps. You've just committed 3 more years to Kyron Williams. Now, it's not a monster contract. I'm laughing that you bring that up because I saw a link. I was on Twitter. I didn't click on it, but it said Rams using Corum to keep Kyron Williams fresh for postseason. And I'm like, stop the presses, right? That's an extra. Wow, breaking news. How remedial do you have to be to post that? You can't figure out that they're sharing touches because they want to keep Kyron Williams fresh. You just figured it out. I just die sometimes when I see the media. And because I wasn't on Monday, I've seen more of the media than I probably should have. So forgive me for being frustrated there. No, Kyron Williams is 3-year contract. The Rams after this year will still have 2 years with Blake Corum. And Ronnie Rivers is returning kicks, right? That guy is the cockroach that survives the nuclear blast. I think they're going to bring Jarquez Hunter back. If there's a real issue with him, they'll put him in the street like they did Zach Evans, and they'll move on. But they spent a little capital on him, and I think he'll get his shot. And this is the good thing you can feel confident about with the Rams, is that if he can play, he's going to stay, right? We trust player personnel. Ron Reese. Hey, Joe, I don't get why you pay Tutu $10 million if you're not going to use him. Travis Rogers thinks they're going to cut him. Travis Rogers hates Tutu Atwell. He literally hates his game. Doesn't hate him personally, I know that. But he hates him. He can't see any good with him. One, it wasn't Tutu Atwell's fault he was drafted in the second round. That was the Rams' decision. The second part was, after that rookie year, he separates his shoulder. I think he only plays 10 snaps. In 2022, the Rams have a revolving door at quarterback. Stafford, Wolford, Perkins, and then finally Baker, right? He catches some passes that year. He catches 16 passes that year. And then in 23 and 24, he catches over 40 passes each one of those games, each one of those seasons, collects multiple downfield pass interference calls. He's a threat. And even at the end of last year, though, most of us figured, they're not going to re-sign him. He's done. I was happy they kept him, but it shocked me. I don't think there's anybody out there that was going to give Tutu Atwell 10 rocks for 1 year. This is on McVay. This is all on McVay. I think if you're going to be upset about Tutu Atwell, be upset with McVay. Atwell has done nothing but do what his job is, right? And if you remember, there were some stretches the previous 2 years where the deep out to the sideline was automatic between him and Stafford, right? Now, want to go a little more run heavy? He's not a blocker. You didn't draft him to be a blocker. So Jordan Whittington, Mumpfield, and all those guys are getting more snaps. But, we don't beat the Colts without Tutu Atwell, right? And so could he be cut? I don't think he's going to be cut. I'll share who I think could be cut. You want me to share who I think could be cut? I think Bo Limmer could be cut. That's what I think. You got Justin Diedick. You got Dylan McMahon still on practice squad. You got Quisenberry. You got DJ Humphreys. And you got depth. Havenstein likely will be back. Do you realize that Bo Limmer has not played a snap since week 3 in Philadelphia? Bo Limmer has been inactive most of the time of most of this season. He's been inactive. He was inactive again last week. Bo Limmer is in the doghouse. Bo Limmer, the starting center for the team last year, let's be real, he was their starting center last year. The guy that took them to the second round of the playoffs, the guy who looked left instead of right in 13 yards away from the goal line. It cost the Rams the game. That was, you could say Kevin Dotson played some part in that as well, but Coleman Shelton probably wouldn't have looked left, okay? He hasn't played a snap since week 3. Not a snap, not even on special teams. He's not even being activated. I don't know if the Rams are going to release Tutu Atwell this late in the season. And again, Xavier Smith speaks to Tutu Atwell's character, right? So my belief is if the Rams are going to cut somebody, keep an eye on Bo Limmer. Keep an eye on Bo Limmer. That's a good question there, man. Good question. Payo time. Hey, Joe in chat. Hope you're all having a great day. We are. Are you digging out for some weather up there in Toronto? Question. What's your thoughts on if Chris Shula leaves? Who would you like to see as the Rams DC? Also, think LaFleur has a shot at a job elsewhere. They'll get looks just because they're Sean McVay's coaching tree, right? Sean McVay's coaching tree, that's a really healthy tree to pull an apple from, right? So they're going to get looks. Shula feels like more because I think there'll be a little disrespect towards LaFleur because it's Sean McVay. Sean McVay runs the show, right? It's the Eric Bieniemy thing. Who really calls the plays with Andy Reid around? Who's really calling the offense with Sean McVay around? And so I think in this regard with Shula's going to get looks just because his last name. And again, this kind of bleeds into my other segment here coming up after the break is there's some buzz out there that Mike McDaniel could keep his job because they've been on a 4-game winning streak. They're 5-7 right now. I don't think they're a playoff team, but this team has not died on Mike McDaniel. My thought was if McDaniel gets fired, the big lure could be, hey, let's bring a Shula to Miami. That's what my thinking was. I'm kind of hoping they do a 23andMe test on Shula and find out he's Middle Eastern or Native American or something so the Rams can get those 2 third-round picks. So, yeah, I think it's possible. Less likely, I think, with LaFleur. I think it's less likely, but much more likely with Shula. I like Shula. I think Shula's done a good job. So I'm not sure how it's going to play out. But that's a good question. That's going to be a huge topic of discussion. All right. Everyone's saying hi to Payo. Payo's saying hi to my guys. All right. Payo, do you want us to plug when you're on the air next so I can help you out here? I'm like your opening act. Like Jimi Hendrix used to open for the Monkees, right? I'm like your opening act here. Let's see. Brian Smith, Xavier is overrated or is underrated. And yeah, and where do you put him and Atwell on the team on the field at the same time? And again, that's just quality of Atwell, man. Quality of Atwell. There we go. Burns and Payo time all talking. All right. Brian Smith, Limmer, 36 bench reps at Combine. Willie Lampkin, 16 reps. Face green smiling. Help me with that one a little bit. I'm pro Limmer, but he is in the Rams doghouse. Absolutely in the doghouse. Payo time. I have to ask you before about the state of local Rams fandom. Do you think Rams fan base has grown a lot more this season? They're winning. They're winning, and then it contracts, right? It contracts. The Rams have never enjoyed, even when I was a kid, they haven't enjoyed that perpetual loyalty the Lakers and the Dodgers have. And maybe that's because, Dodgers were here first, and you had Vin Scully. Who's going to walk away from Vin Scully? And with the Lakers, you had the Showtime era. People are going to get angry before they leave. Ram fans, by and large, those that call themselves Ram fans, not this board being the exception, they'll just move on to another party. And then again, that's a Kroenke Demoff failing because of who they try to appeal to. So yeah, it's always a good question. Always a good question, because I have a very much distrust when somebody tells me they're a Ram fan. I want to hear, give me your creds why I know you're a Ram fan. If you mention Eddie Brown in Super Bowl 14, you're in, right? If you mention, Marshall Faulk was great when he played with Jim Everett, then I know you're out, right? All right. Brian Smith, bring back Raheem. We need 2 additional thirds like San Francisco. Isn't that wrong, Brian? Were you watching the show last week? Isn't that wrong? They're going to end up with 4 third-round picks after Robert Saleh walks this year, right? 2 the first time, and 2 are coming right away. Everybody in that Ram front office should be taking a 23andMe test just to make sure, because I'm half Armenian, I'm 46-something% Northern European, but found out I got a high percentage of Native American blood in me. So technically, I'm a Rams content creator of color. So there we go. I don't think Shula will go to Arizona. I don't, because I wouldn't want to go to Arizona. Let's see here. Pastor Joe, face green smiling. Oh, okay. All right. Let's see. Peyotai, haha, my power is out due to a snowstorm, and so I hope to be live for the Rams versus Cards. Thanks, Pastor Jeff. Thank you, Peo. You're welcome anytime. I saw that Eldon Campbell passed away. Eldon Campbell out of Clemson, right? Tate George, UConn beat Clemson in the NCAA, that turnaround jumper. Always hoping for more out of him. Let's see. Willie Bowen, I've been a loyal Rams fan since the 60s. No one's questioning your credentials, Willie. None. Let's see. Everyone's saying hi to each other. Okay, let me get to the good stuff, some of the other stuff here. We talked about Warren McClendon. Rams brought Josh Carty back, put Wyatt Bowles in the street. McVay mentioned that Quentin Lake is looking more and more like a postseason return. I don't think that's a terrible thing. I think the back porch is going to be just fine. Rams have the Cardinals, Lions, Seahawks, Falcons, and Cardinals again. So literally, when you look at this with the Rams, they got the Cardinals this week. They got the Lions, who are pretty banged up. We don't even know the condition of Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to be in. So the real hardcore game the Rams are going to have is the Seahawks in Lumen Field, right? Can the Rams finish, what will we say, win 4 of their last 5? They win 4 of their last 5. They finish 13-4, right? And then you just got to let the chips fall, right? They could finish 14-3. I'm hoping for 14-3 because I think we can play in the weather. I don't want to have to play in the weather, right? It's not necessarily home game that matters. All right, looking at some of the other stuff here. Well, let's just say I'm Joe Terozin. I was a sports writer for 21 years, and I am sponsored by Kistler Law. I had great lunch with Mr. Kistler the other day. Get the compensation you deserve. Click on that QR code and check out Kistler Law. Also, new sponsor of the show, Sports Ball Game. A lot of fun. I got a lot of people that they're kind of overwhelmed by some of the fantasy stuff. They're definitely not into the gambling stuff, so they want to participate. And Sports Ball Game is kind of cool. If you're going to have a Super Bowl party, you might want to check this out. If you're looking for a way to bring your crew together on game day without the gambling stress or fantasy overload, try Sports Ball Games. Free pick'em and squares, live leaderboards, and bragging rights built in. One click and you're in. No fees, no spreadsheets, no headaches. Just sports fun your whole group can enjoy. Whether you're cheering from the break room or the backyard, Sports Ball Games makes every game day a team event. Play for fun, brag for real. Join sportsballgames.com now. I'm going to drop that into the list there. Let's get that sucker there. Boom, boom, boom. Everyone's saying hi. I'm so glad I'm providing a forum for everyone to say hi. That makes me really happy. Let's keep going here. All right, hot seat around the NFL and other places. Pete Carroll, I think we can all agree, done, right? The buzz, looking at some Falcon media, is they think Raheem Morris, I do believe he'll survive the season, but he might be given a shot into next season to see if there's any real life, and he could be a midseason casualty next year. McDaniel just talked about this in regards to Chris Shula. There's buzz in Dolphin talk that McDaniel could survive if this team finishes strong. Now, here's the thing. They finish strong. They still have a shot. I'm not saying they will. They still have a shot at a winning record. They're 5-7 right now. That's very much alive. That's only one game worse than the Steelers and the Ravens. And no one thought that could happen. So they have a shot. Okay. Mike Tomlin, boy, that thing is really heated up. Even Steeler fan Rob is out on Mike Tomlin. And Ben Roethlisberger is saying, I respect coach, but he might need a fresh start. But I'll say this. The Rooney family has not fired a head coach in over 50 years. Chuck Noll got the job in 1969, retired in the job. The overrated Bill Cowher got the job, had it for 15 years, and retired in the job. Yeah, I said Bill Cowher's overrated. Bill Cowher's a good coach, but the idea that guy got into the Hall of Fame before Tom Flores, the idea that guy's in the Hall of Fame and George Seifert didn't get a sniff with 2 Super Bowls. Sorry, I'm just and then Cowher's a bit of a virtue guy, right? He's got to make his statements and correcting other people on they don't understand race issues like he does or feel them the way he does. He's very much a Stuart Maxim guy. I'll explain the Stuart Maxim sometime. But Tomlin could be on the hot seat. I hope he steps away. I'd hate to see him get fired because he is a good coach and he's done a great job. But the time has probably come. And I left my thing up there, didn't I? There we go. My bad. Let's see. Peo, total bust. Okay. Let's see. You guys Mike Schad. You guys are having a separate conversation. Joe T crushing the ad read. I'm terrible. I left that thing up there. All right. As you guys talk about Mike Schad up there, Cowboys have designated Trevon Diggs to return. That's a piece that's going to help them with Darian Bland on the other side. Lions, on the other hand, put Terrion Arnold on the IR. Now think about this. They have not brought in an appropriate bookend to Aiden Hutchinson in Detroit. We argued this in the whole offseason. They got Aleem McNeil back. They trust Marcus Davenport, who's never healthy. Their secondary and their corner room is devastated. Terrion Arnold's going on the IR. That sounds like touchdowns to me in a couple weeks between Ram receivers and that Detroit secondary. Bucks designate Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan to return from IR. That's pretty cool because in the sense that they were 6-5. They won this past week. They're 7-5. And now they're starting to get some receivers back. And somehow Baker Mayfield played through the injury. We talked about Vikings waived Adam Thielen. He was claimed by the Steelers. Steelers put Darius Slay in the street. And Steeler fan Rob will never admit it, but he was all excited about the Darius Slay signing. Slay was toast. That's why Philly let him go. And the Raiders signed Brendan Rice, son of Jerry Rice. He was released by the Seahawks, who designated Julian Love and Jerron Reed to return from the IR. That's a big deal. And the Browns designate Deshaun Watson to return. Speaking of people coming back, the rumor is right now that Bryce Young's contract will be picked up for a 5th year. There we go. And speaking of former Rams,
they come and they go.
Former Rams, Wide receiver Austin Trammell was let go by the Jaguars, and the Bolts have signed Royce Freeman, and they're getting Omari and Hampton back. So they're in good shape. There we go. All right, let's keep pressing along here. By the way, guys, I didn't even do it. Now we'll wait. I'll do my last commercial later. I wanted to show this. This is the who's in the playoffs and who's out as of right now, and that's AFC, NFC. I took this from the NFL board. It's there for everyone to see. I don't think I did anything wrong. Thank you, Peo, for hanging out. But right now, the Patriots are 11-2. We thought the Patriots would be good. We didn't think they'd be this good. Broncos, Jaguars, Ravens, division leaders at this point. And then you got Chargers, Colts, Bills. Now, the Ravens are playing the Steelers this week. That's a big one. But right now, look at this. You look at this, Broncos and Patriots. Broncos and Patriots look like the two, well, win-wise, they're the best team. They're young and they seem ahead of schedule. But the Jaguars aren't dangerous. Rams handled them. Ravens aren't dangerous. Chargers are never healthy. Indy is hanging on by a thread. And then you got the Bills, who disappointed everybody. And then here you got on the NFC side, you got the Bears, you got the Rams, and whatever the tiebreaker is that they're using there, the Bears 9-3 is better than the Rams 9-3. And then you've got the Eagles. Does anybody trust the Eagles right now? I don't trust the Eagles. And then you got the Buccaneers. I think they're going to win the South. And the Seahawks. Seahawks are critical, but look at those records. Seahawks are 9-3. Frisco's 9-4. The Packers are 8-3-1. And so yeah, there's some interesting games coming up. The NFC is a juggernaut. I don't think it's the Patriots year. I don't think it's the Broncos year. Could they go to a Super Bowl and lose it? I think so, but I don't think it's their year. And I don't think it's the Bears year. I think it's too soon for the Bears. Looking at the next one, yeah, I noticed Pittsburgh's not on there. Yeah, so did I. Now, the teams knocking on the door on the bubble for the AFC, Texans, that's a legitimate thing there. They could really pass the Colts. The Texans are on fire right now. They should give a bonus to Davis Mills for keeping them alive. Players are getting healthy. Texans are dangerous. Steelers are in real trouble. I think the Steelers are in trouble. A lot of talk, a lot of chant, a lot of work going on there. Do you really want to count out the Chiefs? The one team that really interests me right now, thank you, Steve. Bears have a better conference record. Okay. The one that interests me, they got 5 games left, and I don't think they're going to sweep them, but it's the Bengals. The Bengals have, I think, the Bills. I think they've got a shot here to really cause some damage. If the Steelers and Ravens somehow collapse, and Lamar looks old, you could say he looks hurt, but he looks like a guy that's got a lot of tread on his tires. And the Steelers, they're a little bit in disarray. Is it possible the Bengals can slip in there? It's a very narrow thing there, but is it possible they could slip in? I'm curious. I don't think the Dolphins can. I think the Dolphins are playing for a winning record. Cowboys are scary. I think Cowboys could just be too far behind too late. When you're looking at the teams that have that are going to be wild card teams with 9 wins already, the Cowboys have 6 wins, but you're already looking at the 49ers with 9 wins, Seattle with 9 wins, Green Bay with 9 wins. The only avenue to a Cowboy playoff appearance is a total Eagles collapse, right? And then of course we do want to see that. We do want to see that with the Falcons. We want to see that collapse as well. All right, let's look at that there. Thank you for the compliment there, Mr. Burns. Brian says the Bengals are my sleeper. Again, kind of like the Cowboys a little bit. There's a lot to overcome. They got to really thread the needle, but they don't have to play. They're not playing for a wild card spot. They're only 2 games back in the division, right? And they've got to win over both the Ravens and the Steelers. And so there is opportunity there. Bengals are chokers. I agree. But look how bad the Steelers and Ravens are playing. Anything is possible. That game in Baltimore, how could Baltimore not win that game? That was ridiculous. And so I think there's trouble. Vikings are trash. I agree. Not Steeler fan. That's Tim Burns. The great Tim Burns puts that out there. Let's see. I'm fully afraid of Dallas. They are an offensive machine right now. We don't have to play them. And unless there's an Eagle collapse, they're not going to the playoffs. They're 3 games back, right? So we look at them right here. You see the Cowboys have 6 wins. And everyone else that's already in the hunt or already qualifying for a spot if the playoffs were to start today, 49ers have 9 wins, 8 wins. They tied the Packers, but the Packers still got a 2-game lead on them. Seahawks got 9 wins. These teams are going no matter what. The only thing that I think saves the Cowboys this year is a total Eagles meltdown, which, I'm not against, right? I'm a Dallas fan tomorrow. That's an interesting thing you brought up there, Mr. Smith. That's an interesting one. I've found myself at different times not being a Cowboy fan, but coming to a point where I feel like, man, you do kind of got to root for the Cowboys here a little bit because, let's beat up the Lions so they're in less shape when the Rams play them. We need that. But also, you just want to take them off the board for any potential, wild card threat. You just want them off the board, right? So I hate the Cowboys as much as the next guy, but there's just things that are a priority. I don't want the Falcons to win another game, but I sure want them to beat Seattle, right? I don't hate Detroit nowhere near as much as I hate the Cowboys. I never got sucked into that whole thing. I think they were doing to Matt Stafford what anybody else does that leaves town, right? And that you suffered as long as the Lions have suffered. I'm good. I have no hatred for the Lions. I like everything about them. I like their front office. I like their coach. And the media loves to see Dan Campbell struggle because he's such an alpha. They always want to see him go down. Should be a great game, but I am taking the Cowboys tomorrow night because the Lions just don't have enough, and the Cowboys are loaded. And everyone's going to be talking Super Bowl in 2026 for the Cowboys. Looking at the rest of the week, Sunday, December 7th, Seahawks at Falcons. We got to go Seahawks. We're rooting for the Falcons, right? A little bit here. This season supersedes draft choice. But we win. We get a small silver lining when the Seahawks beat them. The Falcons will fall to 4-9. Steelers at Ravens. War of attrition. Who's standing? Who's left? It's at home. I'm going to go with Baltimore. It's at home. I'm going with Baltimore. When they go to Pittsburgh, I'm probably going to go with the Steelers. Bengals at Bills. See, this could tell everything, right? Bills are struggling, right? Bills are struggling. They don't have a great offense. Their offense is hey, Josh, help us, right? And Joe Burrow gives life to the Bengals, and Jamar Chase is a beast. I'm thinking Bills at home, but, man, don't count out the Bengals. Titans at Browns, whatever. We're going Browns. Colts at Jaguars. I'm going Jaguars right now. I think the Colts are struggling. And I was wondering if Daniel Jones goes out because of that broken leg, I know it's not a load-bearing bone there, but could they go to Anthony Richardson? And they said Anthony Richardson's not even in the queue to play. I thought that was interesting. Taxkins, Vikings, and man, what happened to 2025 Bowl? No one cares. I think I'm going with the Vikings at home, although I don't know who's playing quarterback. Dolphins at Jets. Taking the Dolphins in this one, unless it's snow and Tua can't play in the snow. Saints at Buccaneers, and taking the Bucks. Broncos at Raiders. Yeah, I think we know how that's going to go. Bears at Packers. Now, that one's going to be really interesting. I think as long as the Rams have got a one-game lead on the Packers, I'd like to see the Bears lose. So I'm rooting for the Packers in this one. And because it's in Lambeau, I'm going to go with the Packers and going to trust in this great Packer defense that everyone keeps telling me about. Rams at Cardinals. I'm taking the Rams by more than 2 scores. Sunday night, Texans at Chiefs. The Texans have an opportunity to put the final dagger into the Chiefs' window, right? This is it, right? Because Kelsey's not coming back. They're going to be 6-7. That's just way too much for the Chiefs to overcome. In fact, if you look at that bubble again, Chiefs are going to be, if they fall to 6-7, if the Steelers fall to 6-7, You got the Ravens going to 8, or the Texans going to 8 wins, and there just might not be any room for the Chiefs after that, because then you're still talking Bills, you're still talking Colts, and you're still talking Chargers. So yeah, Chiefs fall to 6 and 7, the season's over. Monday, the 24th. I'm sorry. Monday, the 8th, Eagles at Chargers. That one's critical. We're rooting for the Bolts that day, obviously. I'm not against an Eagle collapse. I just don't want to have to go back to Philly, make them come here. And you got to give the Chargers a chance because of Harbaugh, but there's so many injuries always that come about with the Chargers, so you never know. All right, let's look at some questions at the 55-minute mark. I do not want to go past an hour, so let's go. Willie Bowen, Detroit Lions, Cincinnati Bengals, Carolina Panthers, Jacksonville Jaguars should be called Josie and the Pussycats. There you go. Okay. All right, new guy here. Philip, thank you for joining us, Philip. I hope you hit like and subscribe. It's time to move on from Higbee. He gets hurt too much. Same with Havenstein. He's getting up there in age and he gets hurt a lot. I hope they use Tutu more because he can stretch the field. All sentiments we share with you, Philip. Absolutely. Thank you for clicking on. Please sure to hit like and subscribe. Yeah, Higbee's contract is up too, and I think this is the last hurrah for Higbee. I was surprised he got the 2-year extension back in 23. Yeah, I think this is the last hurrah for him as well. And again, my belief is at some point in the next couple weeks, Ferguson and Stafford are going to start clicking. And once that happens, there's not going to be any room for maybe 13 personnel. I think it could get crazy good. That loose thought. And I do want Atwell used more. This has got to be the last rodeo for Tutu. So yeah, all similar thoughts we share with you there. Willie is right. Browns are trash can. Okay. Let's see. I could see Cleveland trading 3 number 1s for Purdy. There you go. You can trade 3 number 1s for Purdy, or you can give a second rounder for Mac Jones, right? I think I'd go with Mac Jones. He takes a punishment, man. Cleveland and Las Vegas need to merge teams. They had a solid third place. They'd have a solid third place team. Really disappointed. That's the one to keep an eye on. Who are the Raiders going to go after? With Spytek and his connection with Brady, there's going to be influence there. And it's going to be a much more, it's going to be a much more attractive job because of who's attached to the Raiders. It's not just Mark Davis, right? But it's Spytek, who came over after working with the Buccaneers and Light, and then knowing Brady and being in ownership. So I'm surprised the Raiders weren't more competitive this year. Missed the boat on that. My bad. But I think it's the last rodeo for Pete. I'm curious to see who they commit to. I really am. I'm just curious to see who's going to be the guy. So I kind of root for the Raiders. I don't know why, but I do. Let's see. Brian Smith. Yeah, did you see the catch? Ferguson is looking good. He has hands did you see the catch out of bounds? Right? I mean, clearly out of bounds, but man. Yeah, no, there's going to be a moment. Everything's going to click with these guys. Everything's going to click. And so that's what I'm there for it. Las Vegas needs a quarterback, which I don't understand why they just don't let Kenny Pickett finish the season. Just let him finish the season. I don't know if Aiden O'Connell's got the conditioning or anything to come back and play, but let Kenny Pickett finish the season, right? And just find out. Remember, he was a quarterback in Pittsburgh. They don't know what they're doing with quarterbacks up there, right? All right, cool. Hey, guys, thanks for sticking it out with me. Thanks for being patient. I can stay here all night. One of these nights, we're going to stay here all night and just go until you drop. Bill, ESG, Willie, Phil, Brian, Steeler fan Rob, Tim Burns, Steve, all you guys. Peo, thank you for hanging out. You guys have a great night. Sorry I missed some.